Bring me up. This is his statement on the House floor on yesterday, and we'll hear this and on the other side get him to expound. Um,
New York Times why the terms white nationalism and white supremacy are offensive. I would say to my colleague that the terms are offensive because the concepts are evil. And we have been counseled by Edmund Burke that all that is required for evil to triumph is for good men to do nothing. I have just introduced a resolution to express this august body's disapproval of Mr. King's comments, and I do so invoking the words of another king, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who, if he had been allowed to live, will be celebrating his 90th birthday on tomorrow. Dr. King counseled that we are going to be made to repent. The aisle.
As heard was that of the majority whip, James Clyburn. He joins us now. Also, our history professor emeritus, so to speak.
But thank you so much.
We we love you and we appreciate your lessons in history. You always have.
Is simply what one of our members has had to say. Now, us, the entire House, but I think it should be a hopefully bipartisan effort to disapprove, and that's why we introduced the resolution.
If you're a member of Congress and you have no committees, you pretty much can't do much of anything, can you?
Not much. All you can do is, I guess he'll still be able to go to the floor and continue his insults if that's what he wants to do. He'll continue to be a representative of the people of his district. But as I said to many over the weekend, and as Karen Bass, the chair of the Congressional Black Caucus, said in her statement, that the Republican leadership should do what they can do.
Mm-hmm.
And on yesterday, they did what they can do. The entire House should do what it can do. And hopefully this afternoon, we'll do that. Now the rest is up to his constituents back in Iowa.
Mm-hmm.
Do they want to continue to be represented by this kind of thought, or will they do what I would hope they would do, and that is replace him with someone more in tune with American values?
How important is it to have this vote, Congressman Clyburn, on today? What would have been Dr. King's 90th birthday?
I think it's important, as I said just today, it draws a tremendous contrast in what I call the tale of two kings. I think that Dr. King, one of, if not the most timeless document I have ever read.
Mm-hmm.
I've read King's letter 100 times, and I'm sure I'm going to continue to read it. In his letter, he said to us that he was coming to the conclusion that the people of ill will in our society seem to make a much better use of time than the people of goodwill.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think that on this, what would have been his 90th birthday, we ought to remember those words because, as Alexis de Tocqueville said back in the 1830s when he visited this country, that this country is a great country basically because its people are good people.
Yeah.
And if the people lose their goodness, this country is going to lose its greatness.
Mm-hmm.
And so I am hopeful that on this King birthday, now I know the country will celebrate it on the third Monday, which is the coming Monday, but his actual birthday is January 15th, today. And we ought to, on this 90th birthday, rededicate ourselves to the goodness of America.
Yes, sir.
And we ought to move to do those things that are necessary to maintain that goodness and undergird the country's greatness and step away from the slogan era that seems to have taken us down the primrose path.
I would just add that it is to me one of Dr. King's contributions, his legacies, the realization of his dream to have an African American majority whip in the House. So I just want to say that.
Well,
Um,
well, thank you very much. Hardly a day goes by when I don't think of at least one of the many conversations I had with Dr. King.
mm,
When I first met him back in October 1960 on the campus of Morehouse College, it was our second meeting of SNCC, our first formal meeting. It was also the weekend I met John Lewis. And he met with us that night around 10 o'clock in the evening. I didn't walk out of that dormitory room until 4 o'clock the next morning. And it was almost a Saul to Paul transformation for me. Dr. King understood this country, and a lot of people don't realize that when he started that movement down there in Montgomery, became the spokesperson for it, he was in his mid-20s. And he really had studied, he had internalized, he had gone off to India, he had sat down with Gandhi, and he became a real prophet of nonviolence. But at the core of all of that is he always came back to the country's goodness, the fundamentalism that makes this country what it is. And that's why he would never condone anything that resembled tearing the country down.
right.
He was always about building the country up, doing it on a solid foundation of good American values. And that, to me, is what this day is all about. And I hope that we go to the House floor this afternoon to debate this resolution. I hope that the people speaking on it will use this as a celebration of King's birthday, as a deep rededication to the goodness of this great country. That's certainly going to be the tone of my comments on the House floor this afternoon.
Well, and we welcome those comments, of course. Congressman James Clyburn, folks, our very special guest. The shutdown.
Mm-hmm.
Any chance that this is going to be resolved anytime soon?
Well, last week around this time, I felt pretty upbeat about our chances. I had no idea that Mitch McConnell would dig in the way he seems to have dug in here. Mitch McConnell and I have interacted for years here. I know that he has a fundamental distaste for governmental shutdowns.
Mm,
And so I just felt that as we approached the 21st, I believe it was, not the 21st, but last Friday, I believe,
right.
is when we approached the record on shutdowns. I just thought he would not allow us to go that far. But much to my surprise and chagrin, he did allow it. And he is the one person that could bring this to a close. If he were to just allow some of the legislation we've sent over there to be voted on, it would open this government up right away.
Why won't he though? What is he afraid of?
I don't know. It befuddles me to see him conducting himself this way. I know that there is something between him and the president that maybe his wife does work in this administration. She's the secretary of HUD. I'm sorry, of transportation.
Translation, right.
And so I think that she maybe there's a relationship that we don't quite understand.
It almost makes you wonder whether Mitch himself has a relationship with Putin or with Russia.
Well, I've been saying for a long time now, even before the 2016 elections, I said that I was seeing things shape up, like the stuff I read about that led to Hitler's taking over of Germany and Mussolini over in Italy. And I said on broadcast TV, since he has been in office, that when you look at the world stage today, I would compare Lenin to Hitler, and I would compare Trump to Mussolini. And now a lot of people got a little bit bent out of shape when I said that, but it's very clear to me. Now, taking this country out of NATO, if that were to occur, that would be catastrophic for the future existence of not just us as a country, but our alliances and our allies around the world.
Yeah.
This is really incredible stuff to pull the thread out of the fabric that has been holding our alliance around the world together in defense of the country's value and its people's safety and security. This would be catastrophic. How would any president of the United States of America entertain such thoughts, least more share them with his staff members, is beyond me. That is because this country is under threat of becoming unraveled because we seem not to be able to stand up to what is fast becoming a despot.
Lastly, Congressman Clyburn, Majority Whip James Clyburn with us, folks. Trump is still talking about a physical wall. You are proposing a smart wall.
Yes, because I think that a smart wall would be our best, what I would call security at the border. We want to keep people who are, I call them asylum seekers, safe. We want to keep them focused. And the way we do that is to make sure that they enter the country through our ports of entry. And we ought to build a wall. As I have said, you know, I was born and raised in the parsonage, and we used to sing a song in my dad's church that my God is so high you can't get over him, so wide you can't get around him, and so low you can't get under him. Well, let's look at G-U-A-R-D, God. We ought to build gods that are so high you can't get over it. Do that with drones. So wide you can't get around. You do that with X-ray technology. And so low you can't get under it. You do that with sensors. And so that, to me, would be a smart wall. And then we ought to improve our ports of entry. We need to upgrade these ports. They need to be welcoming. They need to have not just safety issues, barricades. We need to have health centers. We need to be able to bring people in this country, getting a good first impression of the country, and you can do that at our ports of entry. And I think that if we accommodate asylum seekers at the ports of entry, we will be able to have credibility when we keep people out who do not use that process.
Congressman James Clyburn, I want to be respectful of your time, sir, and I want us to go into the new year, hopefully with the possibility of hearing from you on a more regular basis, so I won't take up all your time now. I know how precious it is. Again, congratulations on being elected to be the whip. Congratulations on the Democratic majority. And we look forward to you all. I know you all are fighting hard to get the government reopened. I honestly don't think some of Trump's base wants the government open, Congressman Clyburn, and I'm sure you agree with that. You know, they've never liked the federal government to begin with. They seem to have disdain for a lot of people who work for the federal government. but I know you and the speaker and others are fighting hard to get it open, and I wish you well. Thank you,
Well,
man.
thank you so much, and I promise you that I'm going to spend a little more time with you in this way. You and I have been good friends over the years,
Yes, sir.
but we used to do that when we seen each other in various places. But I promise you this morning, you'll hear from me much more in this way.
Thank you, Congressman, and happy Martin Luther King Jr. Day, too. Thank you for sharing
Thank
that
you
story
so much.
with us.
Same to you.
All right, take care now. Congressman James Clyburn, folks, the Majority Whip. 866-99-SIRIUS, 866-997-4748.